In life, relationships, and business, there are always people who test you. They don't always do it consciously, but the reality is they want to see how much they can get away with. They want to see how much access they can have to you without putting in real effort. They want to see how much you'll tolerate before you finally put your foot down. If you don't recognize the game, you're already losing. So, what does playing games look like? It can be subtle or obvious, but it's always rooted in the same thing: manipulation. It's the unanswered texts, the hot and cold behavior, the broken promises, the excuses, the small jabs at your confidence, the disappearing acts followed by sudden attention when they feel you slipping away. It's the way they keep you guessing, never fully letting you know where you stand, because that keeps you off balance. And when you're off balance, you're easier to control. You might have experienced this before. Maybe someone showers you with attention at first, making you feel like you're the only person in the world. Then, without warning, they pull back. They become distant. They stop replying as quickly. They seem uninterested, and you're left wondering, did I do something wrong? That reaction, questioning yourself instead of them, is exactly what they want. Because the moment you start doubting your worth, you'll start chasing their approval. Now, let's be clear. Not everyone who pulls away is playing games. Sometimes people are genuinely busy. Sometimes they need space. But the difference between someone with good intentions and someone playing with your emotions is this: inconsistency with purpose. A person who values you will always make an effort to communicate. Someone who is playing games will keep you in a cycle of confusion and hope. One moment they're fully engaged, the next they act like you don't exist. This pattern keeps you addicted to their attention because you're always waiting for the next high. That's what makes these games so powerful. They tap into your emotions and your psychology. When someone gives you just enough attention to keep you interested, but not enough to feel secure, your brain starts craving their validation. It becomes a dopamine cycle, the same one that keeps people hooked on gambling, social media likes, and toxic relationships. You're constantly searching for that next hit of attention, that next moment where they finally show they care. And when they do, even if it's for a short time, it feels like a reward. But here's the truth: real connection is not a game. People who genuinely care about you don't make you guess how they feel. They don't play with your emotions like a puppet on a string. And the only way to stop the cycle is to recognize it for what it is. How do you recognize when someone is playing games with you? It starts with pattern recognition. Look at their actions, not just their words. Do they say they care about you but never show it through consistency? Do they disappear when you need them most but return when it's convenient for them? Do they love the chase but lose interest once you start giving them the same energy? If you see these patterns, it's a sign that they aren't invested in you, they're invested in control. Another key sign is how you feel around them. Do you feel anxious when they don't text back? Do you feel like you have to constantly prove your worth? Do you feel like you're walking on eggshells, trying not to mess things up? The right people bring you peace, not stress. If someone leaves you feeling confused and emotionally drained, that's not love, friendship, or respect. That's manipulation disguised as interest. Recognizing the game also means understanding why people play it. Some do it because they're insecure. They need constant validation, so they keep multiple people around to feed their ego. Some do it because they crave power. It makes them feel important to have someone chasing them. Others do it simply because they can. They've gotten away with it before, and no one has ever called them out or walked away. But now you see it. Now you understand that this isn't just a random occurrence. It's a tactic. And once you recognize the game, you stop being a pawn. Because awareness is the first step to taking back control. When someone plays games with you, whether in a relationship, friendship, or any other area of life, the first instinct might be to chase, to do whatever it takes to get them back on track, to make things right, or to get their attention. This instinct is natural. because humans crave connection and affirmation. But here's the key. Chasing only gives away your power. The moment you begin to chase after someone who is playing games with you, you place the control of your life and emotions into their hands. You are handing over the one thing that no one can take from you unless you let them. Your personal control. In any situation where you feel someone is toying with your emotions, you must first remind yourself you are in control of your own life, your actions, and your emotions. No one else has the authority to determine your worth, your happiness, or your peace. You dictate the terms of how you live, how you interact, and how you allow others to treat you. Once you realize this, you are equipped with the power to shift the dynamic. Taking back control is not about controlling the other person. It's not about forcing someone to act a certain way or manipulating them back into your life. It's about controlling yourself, your responses, your emotions, and your decisions. You are the gatekeeper of your own peace. You don't need to wait for permission from anyone to feel confident, respected, and secure in who you are. If they aren't offering those things to you, then it's up to you to create that peace in your own life without them. So, how do you take back control when someone is playing with you? The first step is to stop reacting. When someone is playing games, they are trying to provoke a reaction from you. They want to see how far they can push you. They want to see you sweat, chase, or beg. If you constantly react emotionally to their behavior, you're feeding into their game. They win and you lose. Instead, master the art of non-reaction. It doesn't mean you suppress your feelings or become cold. It means you choose to control how you respond. You have the ability to pause before reacting. If someone does something to trigger your emotions, whether it's ignoring you, giving you false hope, or creating confusion, take a moment before responding. Don't immediately act out of frustration or pain. You have the power to decide whether you will engage with their behavior or maintain your composure. Taking control also means setting boundaries. Boundaries are your personal rules for what is acceptable and what is not in your life. They are not meant to control others. They are meant to protect yourself. A boundary is not a wall. It's a line in the sand. It's saying, I will not tolerate behavior that disrespects me. I will not chase after someone who is inconsistent. I will not beg for someone's time or attention when they are clearly not invested. Setting boundaries means you no longer tolerate half-hearted effort or manipulation. When someone begins to play games, you stop playing along. You don't react by arguing or pleading. Instead, you take decisive action to either remove yourself from the situation or make it clear that their behavior is unacceptable. This could mean cutting off contact for a time or redefining the nature of your interaction with them. By doing this, you're taking control of the situation, not to hurt them, but to preserve your own integrity and emotional well-being. Taking back control also means recognizing that your worth does not depend on anyone's approval or validation. When you get caught up in someone's games, it's easy to start measuring your value based on their attention or their behavior toward you. You might find yourself wondering if you're good enough, if you're worth the effort, or if you're lovable enough. This is a dangerous mental trap. Your worth is intrinsic. It's not up for debate. The right people will see your value and treat you accordingly. If they don't, it says more about their shortcomings than it does about yours. You need to anchor yourself in the truth that you are enough, exactly as you are. Another aspect of taking back control is detachment. Detaching emotionally doesn't mean that you don't care. It means you are no longer allowing someone's actions to control your emotional state. Emotional detachment is about gaining clarity and objectivity. When you are emotionally detached, you can see the situation clearly without the distortion of emotions like desperation or fear. You stop relying on them to make you feel good or to provide emotional security. You create that security within yourself and learn to be content regardless of how they behave. Once you detach, you also become aware of the power of your time. Time is your most valuable resource. It is finite and irreplaceable. When someone is playing games with you, they are wasting your time. By continuing to engage with them in an unbalanced, manipulative dynamic, you're allowing them to steal precious time from you that could be used for more meaningful pursuits. Taking back control means guarding your time and not allowing people who don't value you to use it up. It means prioritizing your personal growth, your career, your goals, and your self-care instead of focusing on someone who isn't giving you what you deserve. Finally, taking back control means living intentionally. Stop letting life happen to you. Stop reacting to everything and start acting with purpose. Whether it's your career, relationships, or personal growth, take charge of your actions. Make decisions that align with your values and don't let anyone or anything push you off course. Taking control is not about force. It's about deciding to take the lead in your own life, regardless of what others do. You are the architect of your future, and you can't afford to let someone else hold the blueprint. The moment you start setting standards for how you expect to be treated, everything changes. One of the most powerful actions you can take in any area of life, especially in relationships, is to raise your standards. Setting high standards isn't about being demanding or unreasonable. It's about establishing a baseline for respect, consistency, and integrity. It's about declaring that you are worthy of the best and that anything less than that will not be tolerated. Here's the reality. People will treat you the way you treat yourself. If you allow people to walk all over you, show up inconsistently, or manipulate you, you are sending a message to the world that you don't value yourself enough to demand better. It's not about being selfish or putting yourself above others. It's about knowing your worth and demanding that it be acknowledged. When you raise your standards, you refuse to accept anything that doesn't align with who you truly are or where you want to go. This applies to all aspects of life, whether it's your career, friendships, family, or romantic relationships. But here's where it gets tricky. People will test your standards. As you begin to raise the bar for how you expect to be treated, you'll find that some people who previously got away with treating you poorly will start to push back. They'll try to test the limits, seeing if you really mean what you say. They'll see if you'll back down when they act out, or if you'll settle for less than you deserve. This is where the real work begins. When you raise your standards, you're not just saying, I deserve better. You're demanding better. And not in an aggressive or hostile way, but with unshakable certainty. The energy you put out is everything. If you're not truly convinced that you deserve better, if you're unsure about the value you bring, you will never be able to enforce your standards. Your inner belief in your own worth has to be rock solid, and you must communicate that through your actions and your decisions. This is why raising your standards starts within you. It's not about anyone else changing. It's about you evolving into the person who commands respect, loyalty, and genuine connection. When you set unbreakable standards, you begin to create a sense of clarity and focus in your life. You no longer waste time with people who are not aligned with your goals, values, and vision. The moment you refuse to settle for mediocrity, you open the door to people and opportunities that truly reflect the best version of yourself. You will attract quality rather than quantity, depth instead of superficiality. One of the most common mistakes people make when setting standards is they lower them to accommodate others. Maybe you're afraid of being alone, or you're desperate to find connection. Maybe you want to make someone else feel comfortable, so you downplay your needs, your desires, or your values. You make compromises and concessions, and you tell yourself it's not a big deal, that you can work with it or fix it later. But here's the truth. If you're constantly compromising on your standards, you're constantly compromising on your happiness. The longer you allow someone to treat you less than you deserve, the harder it becomes to raise those standards back up. You might fear that if you're too demanding or if you hold firm on your boundaries, you'll lose out on opportunities or relationships. But here's the thing. When you lower your standards, you start to attract people who don't value you, who will only contribute to the cycle of manipulation and disappointment. When you hold firm and stay true to your values, you attract people who will appreciate you for exactly who you are, not for what they can get from you. Setting high standards means that you stop settling for the bare minimum, whether it's in a romantic relationship, a job, or your friendships. If someone can't show up for you in the way that aligns with your standards, then they aren't the right fit for your life. If someone disrespects your boundaries, doesn't offer you support, or leaves you feeling uncertain about their intentions, you do not settle for excuses. You don't waste your time trying to convince them to change. You simply move on. Raising your standards also means self-respect. If you want others to respect you, you must first respect yourself. This includes not tolerating bad behavior, manipulative actions, or dishonesty. It means you value your time and energy and will not allow anyone to drain or waste it. If someone doesn't treat you the way you deserve, then you remove them from your life without drama, without guilt, and without hesitation. This action communicates that you value yourself too much to settle for less. The more you embrace this mindset, the easier it becomes to make decisions that align with your standards. You'll start to feel less conflicted about walking away from situations or relationships that no longer serve you. And the most beautiful thing? The more you uphold your standards, the more you'll see that people naturally begin to meet them. They either rise to the occasion or fall away, but either way, you are in control. You begin to see that your standards aren't a burden, they are a gift. When you stop settling for less than you deserve, you're giving yourself the opportunity to experience the relationships, success, and happiness that are truly in line with your goals and values. And this isn't about being perfect, no one is, but it's about knowing where you draw the line and being non-negotiable when it comes to your peace, your values, and your happiness. The key to setting unbreakable standards is understanding that you are the one who defines what is acceptable in your life. The world doesn't get to tell you what you should tolerate. Other people don't get to decide what you deserve. You are the author of your own story, and you have the power to write it however you choose. Emotional detachment is often misunderstood. It's not about becoming cold or indifferent. It's about gaining control over your emotions rather than allowing them to control you. When someone plays games with you, it's easy to react emotionally. They push your buttons, test your limits, and send you on an emotional roller coaster. But here's the powerful truth. Emotional detachment gives you the clarity and strength to respond rather than react. It allows you to rise above the emotional chaos and maintain your sense of peace, regardless of what others do. The first step toward mastering emotional detachment is recognizing that you are not responsible for the actions or feelings of others. People may try to drag you into their games, but their behavior is a reflection of them, not you. Their unpredictability, their mixed signals, their manipulations, these things are their problem, not yours. Too often, we allow the actions of others to determine how we feel. If someone is distant, we feel neglected. If someone ignores us, we feel rejected. If they play games, we feel frustrated, anxious, or confused. But emotional detachment means that you detach your emotional state from their actions. You stop relying on their behavior to define your mood. To detach emotionally doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you become numb to what's happening. It means you choose not to be ruled by your emotions. Emotions are natural and they're there for a reason. They can signal to you that something is wrong. They can bring awareness to your desires. And they can even provide insights into how you feel about a situation. But when you allow your emotions to take the wheel, you give up control. You start reacting instead of thinking clearly. Emotional detachment means you feel your feelings, acknowledge them, and then let them pass through you without letting them control your actions or decisions. Imagine being in a situation where someone is playing games with you. Instead of reacting with frustration, anger, or desperation, emotional detachment allows you to stay calm and centered. You don't feel the need to chase them, to beg for attention, or to argue your case. You simply observe their behavior from a distance. You acknowledge it, recognize it for what it is, and then decide how you will respond. From a place of clarity, not emotion. When you detach emotionally, you regain power because your emotional state is no longer dependent on someone else's behavior. You stop living on their terms, constantly at the mercy of their mixed signals. Instead, you create your own peace, independent of what's happening around you. The process of emotional detachment begins with self-awareness. You must learn to identify the patterns in your own emotional responses. Ask yourself, why am I reacting this way? What is it about this person's behavior that is triggering me? When you can name your emotions, understand where they come from, and acknowledge why you feel what you feel, you start to take back control. Emotions only have power over you when you don't understand them. Once you understand what's driving your feelings, you can make conscious choices about how to deal with them. Another key to emotional detachment is the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness is the ability to stay present in the moment without becoming overwhelmed by your thoughts or emotions. When someone plays games with you, your mind can spiral into negative thinking, overanalyzing every interaction, obsessing over what they meant by this or that, and imagining worst-case scenarios. This is the emotional trap. Mindfulness helps you stay grounded, helping you focus on the present moment instead of getting lost in what-ifs and fears. It's about recognizing that in any given situation, you choose how you react. You can choose to stay calm, to observe, and to take action from a place of awareness, rather than acting on autopilot based on emotional reactions. When you practice emotional detachment, you also have to let go of expectations. Often when we are emotionally invested in someone, we expect them to act a certain way, especially if we've been conditioned by previous patterns of behavior. We expect that they'll show up for us, that they'll treat us with respect, or that they'll reciprocate the effort we put in. But the reality is, people will not always meet your expectations, and that's okay. When you detach emotionally, you stop needing them to meet those expectations to feel good about yourself. You understand that their behavior is their responsibility, not yours to manage. You stop hoping they'll change, stop trying to control their actions, and accept them for who they are. This doesn't mean you settle for poor treatment, but it does mean you stop allowing their inconsistency to affect your emotional state. Emotional detachment also requires you to create healthy boundaries. Boundaries are essential to maintaining your emotional well-being. If someone is playing games and you allow them to, you are essentially saying, it's okay for you to mistreat me. But when you set clear boundaries, you take control of your emotional space. You decide what is acceptable behavior and what is not, and you enforce those boundaries. If someone crosses your line, you don't engage in emotional drama. Instead, you calmly and assertively express that their behavior is not acceptable to you, and you remove yourself from the situation if necessary. You protect your peace by refusing to tolerate treatment that goes against your standards. Lastly, emotional detachment requires you to practice self-care. When someone is playing games with you, it can be draining, exhausting, and demoralizing. The constant emotional turmoil can lead to anxiety, self-doubt, and burnout. But emotional detachment means you take the time to recharge your energy. You prioritize your well-being and make sure that you are emotionally healthy. You engage in activities that nourish your mind, body, and soul. Whether it's through exercise, meditation, spending time with supportive people, or pursuing hobbies, that make you feel fulfilled. When you take care of yourself, you have the strength to handle any emotional challenges with grace and composure. Mastering emotional detachment is not a one-time action. It's a process that takes time, practice, and a deep understanding of your own emotional needs. But once you start applying it, you'll notice how much more in control you feel in all aspects of your life. You will no longer be at the mercy of others' behavior. You'll stop reacting out of desperation or fear, and instead, you'll make decisions from a place of strength, clarity, and confidence. The foundation of handling someone who plays games with you lies in understanding and embracing your own worth. Too often when people find themselves in manipulative or inconsistent dynamics, they begin to question their value. They wonder if they're not good enough, if they should be doing more, or if they deserve better. This doubt is exactly what the manipulator is hoping for. They want you to feel insecure, unsure, and uncertain about yourself so that you remain under their control. Embracing your worth and building confidence is your strongest weapon against any game they play. The first step in embracing your worth is recognizing your inherent value. Your value is not determined by another person's treatment of you. It's not contingent on someone else's approval or affection. You are valuable simply because of who you are, and nothing about your worth should ever be up for debate. The key to having unshakable confidence is recognizing that your worth is intrinsic and independent of external validation. When you understand your worth, you stop seeking validation from others. You stop trying to prove your value or earn someone's affection by overextending yourself. You realize that you don't need to earn respect or love. You deserve it. Because you are deserving of healthy, respectful, and loving connections. When you embrace this, your confidence will naturally rise. You'll stop settling for people who treat you poorly and start attracting those who see and appreciate you for who you truly are. Confidence grows when you accept your flaws and strengths. You become comfortable with who you are and stop worrying about being perfect. Perfection is an illusion, and no one is perfect. But what you can do is own your uniqueness, own your journey, and be unapologetically yourself. When you're confident in who you are, no one can make you feel inferior. This confidence is a deep-rooted belief in yourself that doesn't waver based on the behavior of others. Confidence means that you are enough exactly as you are, and you don't need anyone to make you feel validated. When you truly embrace your worth, you begin to understand that you don't need to chase anyone. Chasing someone who plays games with you only reinforces the idea that you don't think you are worthy of consistent, genuine, and respectful treatment. But when you recognize your own worth, you understand that you're not someone to be pursued, manipulated, or fought over. You are someone to be honored, cherished, and respected. Anyone who fails to see that is simply not the right fit for your life. An important element of embracing your worth is setting clear standards for yourself. Once you recognize your inherent value, you no longer allow people to dictate how they treat you. You establish boundaries, firm, clear, and unbreakable. You let people know that you will not tolerate manipulation, disrespect, or inconsistency. Confidence in your worth means you are non-negotiable when it comes to how others treat you. You no longer settle for someone who only gives you attention when it's convenient for them, who keeps you guessing about where you stand, or who plays emotional games. You also need to realize that your peace is more valuable than any connection. People who play games often thrive on the chaos and emotional turmoil they create. They feed off of your uncertainty, your anxiety, and your reaction. But when you embrace your worth, you stop allowing them to disrupt your peace. Your emotional state becomes sacred. You learn that you are better off alone than in an unhealthy, manipulative dynamic. This realization comes from the deep belief that your happiness does not depend on someone else's approval or behavior. Confidence in your worth also means standing firm in your decisions. When you truly know your value, you stop second-guessing yourself. If you've decided that someone is not right for you or that their behavior is no longer acceptable, you trust your judgment and stick to your decisions. People who play games are often masters of creating doubt. They will try to make you question your worth or whether you're being too harsh. But when you believe in your own worth, you stand firm. You don't compromise on what you know you deserve. Moreover, embracing your worth leads you to release fear of rejection. So often, people who are subjected to games are afraid of rejection, abandonment, or being alone. This fear can cause them to accept toxic behavior, constantly seeking approval or validation. But when you embrace your worth, you release the need for someone else to make you feel secure. You understand that rejection is simply a form of protection. When someone plays games or walks away, it's not a reflection of your value. It's a reflection of their inability to appreciate you properly. And you're better off without them. Confidence grows when you invest in yourself. Personal growth, learning new skills, and nurturing your emotional, mental, and physical well-being only amplify the belief that you deserve the best. The more you invest in yourself, the more you reinforce your own worth. You start to see that your life is not dependent on anyone else's actions, and you can create happiness, fulfillment, and success on your own. This self-reliance is a game changer. It's the realization that you are enough no matter what anyone else does. You're not waiting for someone else to complete you. You are already complete. Confidence is also strengthened when you surround yourself with the right people. Your circle of influence matters. When you know your worth, you seek out people who lift you up, who challenge you in healthy ways, and who respect you. You stop allowing negative, toxic, or manipulative people to drain your energy. Confidence in your worth means choosing relationships that nurture your growth and support your happiness, rather than relationships that make you question your value. Finally, embracing your worth means allowing yourself to walk away from anything that doesn't align with your standards. People who play games with you are not worth your time, energy, or emotions. When you're confident in your value, walking away becomes an empowering act, not an act of defeat. It's a choice to honor yourself, to protect your peace, and to make space for the right people and opportunities to enter your life. One of the most powerful things you can do when someone plays games with you is to take control of your own life and your own narrative. So many people find themselves swept up in the drama and manipulation of others because they allow other people to define their reality. They let others dictate how they feel, what they believe, and even what they deserve. But when you take control of your life, you stop being a passive participant in your own story. You become the active creator of your future. You shape your destiny, and no one can manipulate or distract you from the vision you have for yourself. The first step in taking control is realizing that you are the author of your own story. Every decision you make, every action you take, and every belief you hold shapes the path you walk. If you allow someone else to control your narrative, you're giving away your power. They get to decide how you feel, what you think about yourself, and where your life is headed. But when you claim ownership of your life, you stop letting anyone else determine your worth or your trajectory. You stop being a victim to circumstances or to the actions of others. Taking control means accepting full responsibility for your life. Not just the good parts, but also the challenging aspects. It's about owning your choices, your reactions, and the consequences that come with them. You stop blaming others for where you are or for the emotional pain you've experienced. Instead, you acknowledge that you have the ability to change your circumstances and make empowered choices that align with your goals. You realize that no matter what others do or say, you have the power to control your responses, your mindset, and your future. When you take control, you stop letting your emotions or external situations dictate how you feel. The games that others play may sting for a moment, but you understand that you have the power to choose how long you allow those emotions to affect you. You don't let the drama from outside forces spill over into your inner peace. You learn how to protect your energy. If someone disrespects you, manipulates you, or creates confusion, you can choose not to engage or let it consume your mental space. Taking control means staying true to your values, and deciding how you want to show up in the world regardless of external challenges. An essential aspect of taking control is building a vision for your life. When you have a clear vision of who you want to become and where you want to go, you stop wasting time with distractions. You become laser focused on your goals. Manipulative behavior, emotional games, and toxic relationships no longer have the power to derail you because you have something bigger to focus on. Your vision becomes the driving force behind everything you do. Whether it's personal growth, career aspirations, or building meaningful connections, you make decisions based on your vision, not on the whims of someone else. You stop being reactive and become proactive in pursuing your dreams. Control also means taking a deep look at the people you allow in your life. Often, when we allow people to play games with us, we fail to recognize that we have the choice to engage with or distance ourselves from them. We may feel guilty or anxious about cutting people off, but true control comes from recognizing that you deserve relationships that uplift and support you. You don't need to tolerate toxic dynamics just to avoid confrontation. You decide who gets to be in your life and who doesn't. When you take control, you set boundaries that protect your peace and ensure you are surrounded by people who align with your values. People who bring positivity, encouragement, and authenticity to your world will only support your growth. You stop allowing those who drain your energy or play mind games to have access to your time and emotions. Another critical aspect of taking control is mastering your decisions. Far too often we let indecision paralyze us, especially when we're dealing with someone who's playing games. Should we stay or should we go? Should we confront them or ignore them? Should we care or should we detach? When you take control of your life, you master the art of decisive action. You don't waste time overthinking or waiting for the perfect moment. Instead, you make decisions quickly, based on your values, your standards, and your goals. If someone is playing games with you, you don't hesitate to take action. Whether it's confronting the issue, setting a boundary, or walking away, you choose what is best for you without second-guessing yourself. You trust your instincts and know that your decisions are part of the process of building the life you want. Taking control also means developing emotional resilience. Life is full of ups and downs, and people will inevitably challenge you. But resilience is about bouncing back after facing adversity, staying grounded in your core values, and maintaining your confidence even when others try to undermine you. When someone plays games with you, it can be emotionally draining, but emotional resilience ensures that you don't let their behavior define your emotional state. You understand that your emotions are valid, but they don't have to control your actions. You can feel disappointment, frustration, or anger, but you don't let those feelings control your response or your life. Instead, you learn to manage your emotions, refocus your energy, and move forward. To truly take control, you must also practice self-discipline. Many people allow themselves to fall into patterns of self-sabotage when they are emotionally affected by others. They might overthink, make impulsive decisions, or spiral into negative thinking. Taking control means having the discipline to redirect your focus on what serves your growth and well-being. Whether it's sticking to your goals, prioritizing your mental health, or maintaining your boundaries, self-discipline allows you to stay on track and prevent others from distracting you from your purpose. Finally, taking control of your life means trusting yourself. The most powerful thing you can do when someone is playing games is to trust your instincts and intuition. You have the inner wisdom to recognize when something is off, when someone is manipulating you, or when it's time to walk away. Trusting yourself means listening to that inner voice even when it might be tempting to doubt it. It's about having the confidence to make decisions based on your knowledge and inner guidance, even if they don't make sense to others. You trust that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way, and you believe in your ability to create the life you desire. When you take control of your life and your narrative, you stop being a passive participant in your own story. You become the hero, making intentional choices that lead you to the future you want. You stop waiting for someone else to define your worth or decide your fate. Instead, you realize that you have the power to shape your life, and nothing or no one can take that power away.